Alex and his friends had always dreamed of adventure. They planned the trip for months, a week-long sailing expedition to explore the unknown waters near a remote island. The day had started perfectly clear skies and calm seas, but things quickly took a turn for the worse. As the boat drifted farther from the shore, dark clouds began to gather overhead. The wind picked up, howling like a wild animal, and the once calm water turned violent. The ship rocked violently as waves crashed against it. "Hold on, everyone," Alex shouted over the roar of the storm. But the wind was too strong, and the boat was no match for the raging sea. In an instant, the mast snapped, and the boat tilted dangerously. Alex tried to grab the steering wheel, but the force of the waves was too much. The last thing he saw before the boat capsized was his friends scrambling to find shelter, and then darkness. When Alex woke up, everything was eerily still. The storm had passed, and he found himself washed ashore, coughing and sputtering. The air was warm, and the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds. He looked around, and to his surprise, he was no longer on the boat. He was on an island. "Where am I?" Alex muttered to himself, trying to stand up but feeling dizzy. As he scanned the beach, he saw his friends scattered along the shore, slowly recovering from the same fate. "Everyone okay?" Alex called out. One by one, his friends nodded, rubbing their heads and trying to regain their bearings. "We need to figure out where we are," said Sarah, Alex's best friend. "But first, we need to make sure we're safe." As they gathered their things, they noticed something strange. The island was not like any tropical paradise they had seen in movies. There were no familiar signs of civilization. Instead, the trees seemed to whisper to each other, the leaves rustling in a way that felt almost alive. Alex felt an odd shiver run down his spine. "I don't like this," muttered Jake, another friend. "It's so quiet." Suddenly, Alex noticed something unusual. At the edge of the beach, half buried in the sand, was a large stone. The stone had strange symbols carved into it, and in the center was a single word, "Escape." Everyone gathered around the stone, staring at it in confusion. "Escape," Sarah whispered. "What does that mean?" "I don't know, but I don't think we're supposed to be here," Alex replied, his voice filled with uncertainty. "We need to figure out what this island is trying to tell us." As they examined the stone more closely, something strange happened. The ground beneath them seemed to shake for a brief moment, and a faint voice echoed through the air. "To escape. The language is the key." The words sent a chill down Alex's spine. What could it mean? What language? And how was it going to help them escape? The voice that had echoed through the air was gone, leaving the group in a stunned silence. No one knew what to make of it. "I guess we don't have much choice but to figure this out," Alex said, trying to break the silence. "Let's search the island and see what we can find. Maybe there's more to this place than just the beach." The group agreed and set off, carefully making their way inland. As they walked, they noticed that the trees had strange markings carved into their trunks. It wasn't random. It looked as though the markings were part of a larger pattern, a map of sorts. They followed the trail of symbols as it wound deeper into the island, each step making them feel more uneasy. After walking for about an hour, they came upon a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a large, ancient-looking stone archway, covered in moss. The archway wasn't like anything they had seen before. It was both old and strangely modern, as if it had been standing there for centuries, yet had just been built. "Is this another clue?" Sarah asked, staring up at the archway. Before anyone could answer, Alex stepped forward, brushing some moss off the archway's surface. There, carved into the stone, was a single sentence. "Can you find your way?" The group stared at it in confusion. "What does that mean?" Jake asked, frowning. "I think it's asking if we can solve the puzzle," Alex said slowly. "But what puzzle?" The air seemed to grow even heavier as they stood there, pondering the meaning of the message. Then something caught Sarah's eye. Just beneath the archway, hidden in the grass, was a small object. She reached down and picked it up. It was a smooth, round stone, unlike any of the others they had seen on the island. As she turned it over in her hand, she noticed something strange. There were words engraved on it. "Can you read it?" she asked, holding the stone out to Alex. Alex squinted at the engraving. The letters were familiar, but the words didn't make sense to him. It says, "What is your name?" Everyone stared at him, puzzled. Why would the stone have that question? Sarah asked. "What does it mean?" "I'm not sure, but maybe it's connected to the language puzzle we have to solve," Alex said thoughtfully. "Maybe we need to learn how to answer that question in English." With that, the group gathered around and began to discuss the question. "What is your name?" Seemed like a simple question, but they all realized they never really thought about how important it was in learning a new language. They repeated the question several times, trying to get comfortable with it. Alex looked at his friends. "Maybe we need to say our names in English to move forward. Like it's part of the key to unlocking the next part of the puzzle." Sarah nodded. "Let's try it." One by one, they each said their names out loud. "I'm Alex." "I'm Sarah." "I'm Jake." The moment they spoke the words, the archway seemed to glow faintly, as if the island itself had acknowledged their answers. "This is just the beginning," Alex said, feeling a rush of excitement. "We've unlocked the first part of the puzzle. Let's see where this takes us." The faint glow from the archway faded as Alex and his friends continued their journey through the dense forest. Each step took them deeper into the unknown. The trees above them whispered, their leaves rustling with a strange energy. It was as if the island itself was watching them, testing their every move. "That was odd," Sarah said, glancing back at the archway. "Did you feel that when we spoke our names? Like the island ... reacted?" "Yeah, it was like we passed some kind of test," Alex replied, his eyes scanning the path ahead. "But we still don't know what comes next." As they walked, the air grew thick with mist. The sun barely pierced through the canopy, casting everything in an eerie, half-light. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Even the usual sounds of wildlife seemed absent, replaced by an unsettling silence. Suddenly, Jake stopped. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the ground. In front of them, partially hidden beneath the thick underbrush, was another stone. This one was different, larger, and more elaborate. It had an intricate design, with multiple symbols surrounding a single word in the center. "Find, find," Sarah said, kneeling down to get a closer look. "Find what?" Alex knelt next to her, his mind racing. "Maybe this is the next part of the puzzle," he suggested. "The stone we saw earlier said escape, and now this one says find. Maybe we need to find something on the island that helps us escape." As they stood up, a low rumble echoed through the trees. The ground beneath their feet shook for a moment, and then, as if in response to their thoughts, a loud creaking noise broke the silence. The friends turned around to see a massive tree near the edge of the clearing. The tree's trunk split open, revealing a hollow inside. A faint light glimmered within, and something inside the hollow appeared to be moving. Without speaking, the group moved toward the tree. As they got closer, the light grew brighter. Inside the hollow, they saw a small wooden box, resting on a bed of moss. "It looks like it's been waiting for us," Jake said in awe. He stepped forward and reached for the box, but as soon as his hand touched it, the ground trembled once more. "Wait," Alex called, grabbing Jake's arm. "This could be another test. We don't know what will happen if we open it." But Jake had already lifted the box out of the hollow. As he opened it, the light from the box flared brightly, blinding them for a moment. When the light faded, they saw that inside the box was a small, neatly folded piece of paper. Alex carefully took the paper out and unfolded it. The message on the paper was short but puzzling. "To find, speak the truth." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked, frowning. "I think it's telling us that the answer to the puzzle involves honesty," Alex said slowly. "We need to speak the truth, but I'm not sure how." Jake shrugged. "Maybe we need to say something truthful about ourselves, or about the island." Suddenly, Alex's eyes widened. "Wait, maybe the truth is simpler than that. Maybe the truth is just the key to understanding the puzzle in English." He looked around at his friends. "What if we need to speak the truth in English? Like, this is my name, or I am lost." or we need help." They all nodded, realizing that speaking the truth was a way to use the language they were learning to solve the puzzle. "Okay," Sarah said, taking a deep breath. "Let's give it a try." "I'll go first. I am lost," Sarah said, her voice steady. The moment she spoke, the trees around them seemed to shake, and the ground beneath their feet rumbled again. The forest was reacting to her words. "Try it too," Alex encouraged. "Speak your truth." Each of them took a turn, speaking their own truth aloud. "I need to escape," Jake said. "I don't know where I am," Alex added. The others followed suit, and with each spoken truth, the forest seemed to respond, shifting and changing around them. Then, without warning, the trees parted, revealing a new path that they had not noticed before. The way forward was clear. "It worked," Sarah said, her voice filled with excitement. "We're on the right track. Now we just need to keep moving forward," Alex said, a sense of determination in his voice. "Let's keep going and see what the island has in store for us next." As the path opened before them, the air grew colder, and the dense fog clung to the ground like a blanket. The strange glow from earlier had faded, but a new source of light beckoned in the distance. It wasn't sunlight, but a soft, greenish hue that seemed to pulse from within the depths of the forest. It led them toward a large, looming cave hidden among the trees. Alex, Sarah, Jake, and the rest of the group stood at the entrance of the cave, its dark mouth gaping wide like a mysterious mouth waiting to swallow them whole. "This place is ... different," Sarah said, her voice shaking slightly. "It feels like something's watching us." Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the glowing light inside. "We've come this far, we can't turn back now." Jake stepped forward, determined, but hesitant. "Do you think this is the next test?" "I don't see any other way forward." "Probably," Alex answered, his voice steady. "But we don't know what's inside. We have to be careful." With a deep breath, Alex took the lead, stepping into the cave. The walls were smooth, and the floor beneath their feet was wet, making each step echo through the hollow space. The greenish light seemed to come from the walls themselves, casting eerie shadows that danced along the edges of their vision. It felt as though the cave had a life of its own, breathing with them as they walked deeper into its heart. As they moved deeper into the cave, the path split into two directions, a narrow, steep passage to the right and a wider, darker path to the left. The light from the walls flickered, casting strange patterns on the rocky surfaces. "Which way should we go?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake looked between the two paths. "I don't know, but we'll have to make a choice." Suddenly, a voice echoed from the darkness ahead, low and deep, like it was coming from the very cave itself. "To find the way forward, you must choose. But beware, for the path of truth is not always clear." The group froze, looking around, but no one was in sight. The voice came again, clearer now, as if it was speaking directly to them. "Only by using what you've learned can you escape the cave. Choose wisely and speak the truth of your choice." Alex stepped forward, trying to stay calm. "I think we need to speak. We have to use our knowledge of English, right?" Sarah agreed, her eyes wide with realization. "We've learned how to speak the truth. Now we just need to speak it again to make our decision." "All right," Alex said, his voice steady. "We can do this. I'll go first." With confidence, he stepped forward to the narrow, steep passage. "I think this path is dangerous," he said, turning to his friends, "but it's a challenge. I am willing to face it." The moment Alex finished speaking, the ground beneath his feet shook. The narrow passage to the right lit up with the same greenish glow, and a loud crack echoed through the cave. The sound of rumbling rocks filled the air, but the path didn't collapse. It seemed to clear, as if Alex's words had set something into motion. "Looks like you were right," Jake said, his voice filled with awe. "The path opened up, but we have to keep talking," Sarah reminded them. "We need to keep speaking our truth." She stepped forward, her voice clear and firm. "I don't know what lies ahead, but I trust that we can do this together. We are ready for whatever comes next." At her words, the cave seemed to respond again. The green light grew brighter, and the walls of the cave shimmered, revealing hidden carvings in the rock. Words in English appeared, as if the cave itself was teaching them. Look, Sarah pointed to the carvings. The words are about choices, about facing fears. Jake smiled, a sense of relief washing over him. I think we're on the right path. It's like the cave wants us to face our fears and speak our truth. Alex turned to look at the other passage, the darker, wider path. Should we go there too? He asked, his voice questioning. Or is this the way? This is the way, Sarah said confidently. We've made our choice. With that, the group took a deep breath and continued through the narrow path, the walls of the cave narrowing with each step. The deeper they went, the more they could feel the weight of the challenge pressing on them, but they also felt the bond they shared growing stronger. The cave began to twist and turn, but the green light guided them forward. They moved in unison, trusting each other and the lessons they had learned. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the path led to a small, open cavern. In the center was a glowing pedestal, and upon it rested a crystal, radiating with the same eerie light they had seen before. The crystal, Alex whispered, stepping forward. It's like it's waiting for us, Jake said, his voice full of wonder. Alex reached out and gently touched the crystal. As soon as his fingers made contact, the cavern filled with a blinding light. For a moment, everything around them seemed to fade, and they could feel the island's pulse beneath their feet. When the light dimmed, they found themselves standing back at the edge of the forest, the cave entrance behind them. We did it, Sarah said, her voice trembling with excitement. We're one step closer, Alex replied, his eyes bright with hope. Let's see where the next part of the island leads. The group stood at the edge of the cave, the faint, lingering glow from the crystal still illuminating their faces. The forest around them had changed, the trees seemed brighter, the air fresher, and the ground beneath their feet felt solid again, as if the island itself had recognized their success. But they knew this wasn't the end. The island still held mysteries, and they were only one step closer to understanding its secrets. That crystal ... it felt like the island was alive, Sarah said, looking around at the transformed surroundings. You're right, Jake replied, his voice filled with wonder. It's like we passed some kind of test, but the island isn't done with us yet. Alex nodded, his mind racing with thoughts. We've learned so much already: English phrases, vocabulary, and how to speak the truth. But there's something else I think we still need to discover. This island isn't just about learning a language, it's about learning how to communicate and connect. I agree, Sarah said, taking a deep breath. It's not just about words. It's about what those words mean. Just as Sarah spoke, the ground trembled beneath them, and a large stone door appeared in the distance, half buried in the earth, its surface marked with intricate symbols. The door was massive, almost as if it had always been there, waiting for them to find it. The exit? Jake asked, pointing to the door. That's the way out. Before Alex could answer, a voice echoed in the air, soft yet commanding. To leave the island, you must answer a question. Only by understanding the power of words can you truly escape. The voice was familiar now, like the voice of the island itself, guiding them. It wasn't threatening, but it was clear that they couldn't leave without completing this final task. Do you hear that? Sarah asked, her eyes wide. Yes, Alex said, taking a step forward. I think we've reached the final challenge, but we have to be careful. The question isn't about knowledge, it's about understanding. A deep silence fell over them as they approached the stone door. As they neared, the symbols on the door began to glow softly, like ancient words coming to life. The group stopped in front of the door, waiting for the question to be revealed. Listen carefully, the voice said, its tone gentle but firm. What is the most important thing to remember when you speak? The question hung in the air like a riddle. The group exchanged glances, uncertain. The question was simple, but its answer wasn't. They had to reflect on everything they had learned on the island. It wasn't about knowing the right words or having the perfect pronunciation, it was about something deeper. It's not just the words themselves, Sarah said, breaking the silence. It's about what you mean when you say them. Alex smiled, feeling the truth of her words resonate with him. Exactly, it's about connecting. It's about honesty and understanding each other. Jake stepped forward with newfound confidence. The most important thing to remember is to speak from the heart, to make sure your words reflect what you truly want to communicate. At their words, the door began to shift. The symbols on the surface shifted and rearranged, revealing a passage behind it. The stone door opened slowly, revealing a bright light beyond. "It's open!" Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up with excitement. With a deep breath, Alex stepped forward, the others following closely behind him. They had passed the final test, not by knowing the right words, but by understanding the power of communication. They had learned that words weren't just tools, they were bridges, connecting people, ideas, and even worlds. The light from the door bathed them in warmth as they stepped through it, leaving the island behind them. They didn't know what awaited them next, but they knew they had changed. They had learned something far more important than just English. They had learned how to truly understand each other. The bright light began to fade, and the group found themselves standing on a beach. The sound of the ocean waves crashing gently against the shore filled their ears. They were no longer on the island. Instead, they had returned to the world they knew, but something was different. The world seemed brighter, and the possibilities felt endless. "Well, we made it," Sarah said, looking around in awe. "We did," Jake replied with a grin. "And now we know how to communicate better than ever before." Alex looked at his friends and smiled. "The island taught us a lot, but I think the most important thing we learned was that language is about more than just words. It's about connection, and it's about understanding." As they stood there, the sun began to set, casting a warm, golden light over the ocean. The sound of the waves filled the air, and for a moment, everything was peaceful. They had made it through the challenges, learned new words, and discovered the true power of language. But most importantly, they had grown stronger as a team, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the group sat together on the beach, their minds reflecting on everything they had just experienced. The island, the challenges, the puzzles, it had all been a journey, one that had tested their skills, their patience, and most of all, their ability to communicate. Alex looked around at his friends, their faces glowing with the satisfaction of overcoming the island's trials. "We did it," he said softly, almost in disbelief. "We really did it." Sarah smiled, nodding. "We didn't just learn new words, did we? We learned how to connect with each other, how to listen and really understand," Jake added, "and we learned that it's not enough to just speak the words. It's about knowing when and how to use them to make a real impact." The three of them sat in silence for a moment, contemplating the power of communication. The island had been a challenge, but it had also been a teacher. It had shown them that language wasn't just about memorizing vocabulary or perfect grammar, it was about making real connections with others. "I think the hardest part," Sarah said, "was realizing that it wasn't just about us understanding the words. It was about how we could use those words to help others understand us, too." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "Exactly, and now that we're back, it's not just about speaking English. It's about making sure that we're clear, kind, and true to ourselves in whatever language we're using." Jake grinned, standing up. "I think we've earned a little celebration, don't you?" Sarah laughed. "I agree. But first, I think we should share what we've learned with others. It's not enough to keep all this knowledge to ourselves." Alex looked out over the horizon, feeling a sense of peace. "You're right. We've learned so much, and now it's time to pass it on, to help others connect and learn, just like we did." And so, as the stars began to appear in the night sky, they made a promise to each other they would continue their journey of learning, of speaking from the heart, and of connecting with others. Their adventure on the island might have ended, but the lessons they'd learned would stay with them forever. As we wrap up this journey, we hope that you've not only enjoyed the adventure, but also learned valuable lessons about communication. Language isn't just a tool, it's a bridge, one that helps us connect with each other across barriers. Whether you're speaking English or any other language, remember, it's not just the words you say, but how you say them and how you make others feel that truly matters. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. There's always more to learn, and we can't wait to share the next adventure with you. Until next time, keep speaking, keep learning, and keep connecting.